Back out at Flagstaff Mountain here today, and I'm working on this long, super pumpy, apparently super popular 50-foot long V4 traverse. In my first 3 or 4 years of climbing, anytime I could do the crux but couldn't send a full climb, I naturally blamed poor endurance. And that's an easy scapegoat, but if you learn a little bit about the science behind it, probably change the way you think about it and how you might approach training it too. So I guess the traverse starts here. The first section continues at mid-height along pretty juggy holds, so that's gonna be a good warm-up. Gets a little technical in the middle and then finishes up this kind of highball left top out along the left-hand side. My first step on this thing is gonna be to identify the crux while I warm up on the easier spots. Like I usually do, I'm gonna start with wearing my comfy shoes and a pair of socks. And then if I feel like I need it, switch over to the Solution Comps, which are really nice, but it's got a really soft rubber that wears out easily. All right, let's see how the start feels here. Endurance might be the most misunderstood concept in climbing, especially newer climbers. Oh, I can do the crux in isolation, but not from the start. Must need more endurance. Oh, I can do 5 hard moves in a row, no problem, but when I try 15 moves, I get pumped. Must need more endurance. I feel like these are pretty common thoughts, especially from newer climbers, but it's really not the way it works. To understand endurance, you first need to understand some basics. Perhaps most importantly, how your body produces energy to power your movement. After being exposed to this concept, it took me a little while to really understand it, but once I did, it transformed the way I train and how I structure my indoor and outdoor sessions. In fact, this could be the single most important piece of information to help you train more efficiently and maybe even break that performance plateau. I know I don't really need a lot of pad coverage probably, but nice to do it in sections. That was the first section. No crux, good warm-up moves. I'll move the pads and check out the second section. If you've watched my channel before, you've probably heard me talk about energy systems, but it's such a foundational concept that I'm gonna cover it here again. Let's start with the basics. The body has 3 systems available to it to produce energy depending on the demands of the particular move or set of moves. Picture the most intense moves like sport climbing cruxes or short, intense bouldering. The demands of these moves are usually met by the max energy system. Not the technical term, but I like to keep it simple. This system can put out a lot of energy very quickly, but only for a short period of time. On the opposite end of the spectrum is the aerobic system. Think about long, easy, sustained climbing like multi-pitch trad or like doing repeated auto belays or arc climbing at the gym. Although this system can't produce a lot of peak energy output, it can maintain it for quite a few moves or quite a long time. Definitely harder than the start, even if it's not the crux, but let's see if we can figure out our way through this section. I like to think of the system in between as the bridge system, or you might also think of it as power endurance. It can't produce as high of energy output as the max system, and it can't produce output for as long as the aerobic system, but it does a nice job of filling that gap. When you casually throw out the term endurance, you're probably most closely relating to this middle bridge system. Think sustained sport climbing and any type of climbing where it's long, pumpy, and really gets you out of breath. Now that you know the 3 energy systems, you might be thinking to yourself, so what? But the real value, and perhaps what'll change how you think about endurance, lies in the trainability of each system. We'll come back to that in a second. Just let me try to figure out this crux real quick. Some okay feet, nothing great around here. This is good, but it's high and it's far to the right as you're moving left there. Find the good next left foot, maybe take a higher one. All right, trainability. The max system can improve a lot over many years of focused training, but the downside is it gets weaker as you start to get really old. The aerobic system can also improve a lot over many years, even into old age. That brings us to the bridge system. It really only acts as a bridge between the 2 other systems. You can train and train and train in this sort of power endurance range, but the gains you see will start to flatline after about 3 or 4 weeks. And the maximum level at which this bridge system can perform is really set by the other 2. Okay, now what? Whew. Okay, if you think about it, a 50-foot V4 is kind of like a 512, maybe like a 512B. So this is pretty good endurance training for me here, considering I've never sent harder than a 12A outside. So rather than spending a lot of time trying to work power endurance or the bridge system, you should probably spend most of your time while you're young, for sure, working the max system. Then regular training that focuses on the aerobic system is probably the next most important. By focusing on the two ends of the spectrum, you can raise the capabilities of each system year over year over year, over decade. And then a handful of times a year, or when you're getting ready to go out on a sport climbing trip or trying to finish off a long pumpy project, you can spend 3 or 4 weeks focusing more on the bridge system, which will get it spun up pretty quickly and enabled you to make the most use out of your max and aerobic as well. It turns up and goes up somewhere. I just don't know if it's before or after this like last bulge, you know?
This looks bad.
Got to see a local do it from start to finish, including a couple of potential options for getting through the crux, none of which I loved myself. I kind of hobble-cobble together my own version of the beta, I think. But also got to see him top it out on the far left, which I didn't do a great job of filming because I don't really know him and I didn't want to be a creep, but did show that it was possible and like not that crazy.
Just like that.
I get it.
It's easy. Do it, man.
Couldn't let myself not do it.
Dude, that's great, man. Good work.
Nice to see somebody do the whole thing.
I don't really boulder, I'm more of a trad dude. So.
Okay. Was able to confirm that the crux is definitely like from here, either going low or high, making your way to this juggier thing.
I just go like big right hand to that like kind of sideways jug.
And then you got kind of more in-cut side pulls and things and some better feet. And more about managing the pump at that point.
And then from there, it's pretty good in cuts and holds. It's just like looking, because the feet are really good at that point. And then you have feet everywhere.
Okay.
And it's just like managing the pump.
Gotcha. Really, the whole point is don't waste all your time spinning your wheels in that middle system training area. Focus mostly on the ends of the spectrum and then pull up the middle along with it. All right, give this thing a little burn from the start. I don't have high hopes ascending, but sometimes going from the bottom gives you the little extra motivation you need to push through a crux. In this way, you can make sure you're still getting a good bang for your buck in terms of training time and that you won't plateau by focusing too much on that power endurance or bridge system, which can really only improve so much. Didn't go so well. It's getting pretty toasty out here today, which means Guanella season right around the corner. Maybe we'll go there next week when Trevor and Caroline are back from Illinois. Or maybe Trevor will drag me out on some rope climbing. It's better when it's a little warmer too, I suppose. And he's been trying to get me out on some of that lately. Either way, we'll see you next Sunday.